Hey everyone, welcome back to Born to the Game, Legacy Unfiltered. I'm your host, Mariah, and today we're getting into what it's like being a woman in business and sports.
What's up, y'all? It's T. And we've all had those moments where we felt underestimated or not taken seriously. And we're going to share some of those stories. But it's not just about the challenges, it's also about the ways women are shaping the culture, the boardrooms, and beyond.
And we'll talk about what's changing, what still needs work, and why there's actually a lot to be hopeful about. Tamara, let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Okay, so, right, you are a mom. You
Yes.
are a businesswoman, an entrepreneur.
Yes.
You are I would even call you an executive. You're a
Yeah.
podcast producer.
Yes.
You have amazing accolades. You are a Georgia Tech graduate. You played volleyball from middle school through college. Do you feel like you are somehow still overlooked for all the things you do just because of who your dad is? If you felt like that, what has it taught you?
So I do feel like I have to work 10 times harder to prove that I belong in certain spaces because people will naturally assume that I got a job or a position because of my father. And so I feel like I need to prove to everybody in these spaces that I belong here. Like you said, I went to school at Georgia Tech and graduated. So I am intelligent. My dad didn't pay for my degree. I earned it on my own. So, yeah, I do feel like that at times. And over the years, I've realized that I've had imposter syndrome. I knew internally I've always belonged in certain spaces, but I've also heard little chitter chatter in the background where people will say, oh, she only got this because of her dad, or her dad has this connection with this person. But people don't realize that just because I've had certain opportunities, and I'm the first one to say that I am very thankful and blessed for the connections my father has made. And if there are certain areas that he has helped me out, I'm the first person to shout it out. However, I still had to work to stay in those rooms. He has helped me open up the doors to a lot of these spaces, but I've still had to work 10 times harder to make sure that I maintain these great relationships. I work hard. I don't want people to ever look at me and say, I gave her a job and she bullshitted her way through it. You know what I mean? And so I want to make sure that if someone is giving me a position and it's because of who my father is, I make sure that I work 10 times harder. I'm the first one at work, I'm the last one to leave. I work overtime, and I never believe that I'm too big for a certain position. And I've always been like that my entire life.
I took that, it taught you that if somebody gives you an opportunity, they can only get you to the door. But what
Correct.
you do behind the door is up
Yes.
to you.
That's all.
You could have easily screwed away your
Yeah.
opportunity and just went from one to one, but you took them all seriously. I know that firsthand because of how hard you work and all
Yeah.
your different ventures, like your
Yes.
business, especially with your skincare line. I've
Yeah.
seen it grow over the years,
Yes.
and
And I've
that's
worked
just
in corporate. I've had bosses, and there's not a single boss who will say that Mariah doesn't work hard. Not one.
yeah.
People can say whatever, but at the end of the day,
hmm
you cannot get on this internet and say that I don't work hard.
That you don't
So,
work hard and that you're not capable and
people,
worthy of being there. Absolutely.
what about you,
Yeah.
T?
I was thinking of what I felt, and I was kind of hesitant to say, but I'm going to just because I think it might help another artist out there. As you know, I'm an artist, but like you, I worked in corporate America, I've worked in the nonprofit sectors because being an artist nowadays doesn't pay the bills like you would want it
Yeah.
to all the time. And I feel like in this culture, in this climate, if you're not on a certain whatever that people recognize, they kind of question you. You look at you side eye when you say, I'm an artist or I'm an actor. And their first thing is, what have I seen you in? And it's like, well, if I'm a theater actor,
Well,
unless you've come to my show, you don't
yeah.
know what I've been in. And I think that sometimes people forget the artistry behind being an actor or doing a lot of things that we do. They don't look at it as a profession, a passion, and a way of life. If we took away the actors and the entertainers from our worlds, what would we be doing?
Oh,
And you can
baby.
add sports in there because sports is entertainment.
Yes.
So at any level, you know what I'm saying? Whether it be high school, people pay to get in and they want to watch it.
Yes.
So I think what it has taught me is that I always have to stay true to myself, true to my craft, to continue to work at it every day. I always tell people that I'm a student of being an actor. You went to Georgia Tech and graduated. I went to
Okay.
Ball State University and
Absolutely.
graduated
Yep.
time.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
On time.
Yes.
Got
Yes.
my degree in my field. It took me a while to get into a place where I wanted to get. I stopped being an actor when I die. It's one of those professions that comes along with me. I think what I learned from it is that you cannot let people define who you are
Yes.
based off of what they think you should have been in or whether or not they have seen you or know you. Some of the greatest artists, we will never know their names.
Yeah.
We will never know who they are. They're playing in small playhouses and in short films and things like that. Big up and mad respect to all the artists out there who are working their craft and being themselves.
And I think that's something that we can help young girls of this
Yeah.
generation learn. Stand in your power and your purpose. Know who you are. And who cares what other people have to say? If you're
Mm-hmm.
following your dreams, God gives all of our hearts a desire.
Mm-hmm.
You're following that desire. Don't allow somebody else to come into your life and knock you off course. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
one of the lessons I wish I learned sooner. Figuring out what your purpose is and what your passions are, that can take time.
Well, while you're saying that, like, I feel like people, they're looking to other people. They're looking at other people's careers. They're looking at other people's paths, and you can't
Yeah.
do that. And then you'll start
Yeah.
comparing your own path with other
Yeah.
people's, and doing that, you will never reach where you're supposed to
Yes.
be. To your
Exactly.
point, stay on the path that God gave you and in your
Yes.
heart because it
Yes.
was for you. It wasn't a group message.
But how do you teach young girls that? Now they're being heavily influenced by social media
Hmm.
and they are looking and seeing that their friends or people they admire are achieving X, Y, and Z. Sometimes that can knock them off course. So how do you tell
Right.
someone who's in middle school or high school, stay in your purpose and what God has given your
Hmm.
heart and the desires that he gave you, that is for
Hmm.
you. How do we teach young girls to stay true to that and not look at social media and get distracted?
Think it's teaching them a strong sense of self.
Yeah,
And if
yeah,
you are comfortable with yourself, it has to start there. If you think about it, any problem you have kind of goes back to how you react, how you do, and what you are doing, because you're the only person you can control.
yeah,
So, teaching strong sense of self, self discovery.
yeah. And
I
their self.
don't like, what's for me, what's not for me,
Yes,
and being okay. Like, I
yes,
don't like this, so therefore I will not. Like,
yes.
teaching that is so important, especially when you're at an age where there could be other people involved, like
A
relationships
lot
that
of
are not
outside
good. Because when
influences.
they're young, you just want to be liked. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You just want to be liked. You just want to be around and be,
yeah,
I don't want to say be cool, but you want to be the person. And sometimes you're not going to be the person. You have to be able to stand on your own. And I think even when I was working with young girls, that's what
yeah,
I will always say. Sometimes you're not going to have a friend that wants to go with you. Make a friend there. You don't always have to be with someone. Make a
yeah.
new friend.
Years ago, it was Giovanna Sally and I, John Sally's daughter, and
Aw.
myself, my sister, and another girlfriend. We flew to Ferguson, Missouri. We put on this clinic for young girls, and we called it GIRL, Guiding Intellectual Radiant
Hmm.
Ladies. The Boys and Girls Club reached out to me because I had started a swim care line. They were like, you're a young, successful Black woman. We want our young girls in our community to see and be able to see what you're doing. We want to bring you into our community to talk to these young girls. And so I did. I was super excited about the opportunity. So Giovanna, she's a good singer. She opened up for Genuine later that night. I helped facilitate the early morning sessions with the young girls at the Boys and Girls Club. Part of me coming in was to help open up their eyes to realize the world is so big outside of St. Louis, Missouri. A lot of those kids had never even left their small city, never gone on an airplane, never imagined leaving home. My goal was to allow them to dream big and figure out their purpose and passions in life. And I had them for 3 to 4 hours. I had them create beautiful mood boards and dream boards. These girls dreamt big. I had girls who wanted to become gynecologists, travel to space. It was inspiring to me because I'm like, wow, at that age, I didn't dream like that. I had girls as young as 6 and as old as 18. And they had big dreams and big goals, their passion and their purpose. They already knew who they wanted to be. It just was a matter of, again, getting them out of St. Louis and realizing that the world is so big for them. Something that was so humbling for me to be a part of. And I was so excited and thankful that the Boys and Girls Club reached out to me just so that I could have a little bit of influence, but they had a lot of influence on me. So that was something that I realized that these girls need. They just need somebody to tell them that the world is yours. Dream
Right.
it, you could do it. Trying to get in the right rooms with people who can help push your dream forward will help. But as long as
Hmm.
you have that dream and that passion and that purpose, you're already halfway there.
Right. And your story about your girls, and shout out to the Boys and Girls Club. Boys and Girls Club, YMCA, those places are doing great work in the community, and those kinds of programs really enrich our kids. Just shout out to them. Even
Yeah.
after they dream big, we have to teach them how to be strong within
Yeah.
themselves. Your story
Yeah.
reminded me of a group of girls I had. They were at my church, but what made me decide to do this program was because I used to work for nonprofit as well, and we used to have a jail program in the women's prison. And when our company went to create the program with the women in the prison, the warden said that most of the women in the prisons were not the actual aggressor or the actual person that committed the crime. They were an accessory. Most of them didn't have the power to tell their man no. I will not drop this
Wow.
package for you. I will not drive the car. The warden himself told us that was the reason why the bulk of the women were in there. And a light went off because that starts young. Not being
Yeah.
able to tell the person you're with in a relationship or the people around you no.
No.
So I started a
Yeah.
program called Our Girl Rosa Parks. There's a t-shirt
Yeah.
that said nah, like NAH.
Yes.
So I
Nah.
created a program at the church for these
I
girls
need that
that
shirt.
was called like teaching,
Yes.
want to do this?
Yeah.
I'm good.
Setting
That
boundaries.
it scared me so bad listening to that. We were creating a program for these women in prisons for their girls to come to the prison so they can see their kids. Most of the time you were just trying to be loved. It did something to my soul. I took what I learned and I put together something for these girls. That's what we have to instill in them. You
Yeah.
have to know how to advocate for yourself and say,
Yeah.
no, I don't like that, in order for
Yeah.
us to become and to be. That really was a turning point in my passion of
Yeah.
speaking with youth, especially girls. Also, because I'm dealing with it myself. I'm a strong advocate for myself, but I have the same issues. You look at these
Yeah.
girls, you have the same issues, and you're 20 years older than them. It's wild. Some girls have guidance, some girls don't, but it doesn't matter.
But I was gonna say, I think society is shifting a little bit. Back when our mothers were growing up, and even when we were young, women were never taught that it was okay to say no. We were never taught that you can set boundaries, right? Because the moment you say no, the moment you set a boundary, you're mean. You're not kind.
Mhm.
You're difficult. And so we never wanted to be labeled as mean, difficult, unkind. We naturally became people pleasers. At least I know for
Right.
myself. I'm 34 and to this day in therapy, and my therapist is helping me on how to not be a people pleaser. And it's okay to
Mhm.
establish boundaries. I learned the word boundary 3 years ago.
Mm.
And so I think teaching young girls at a young age that it is okay to set boundaries. It is okay to say no. It does not make you mean. It doesn't make you awful. It doesn't make you unkind. It doesn't mean that you aren't a genuine person. Because for so long, that is something that was instilled in our culture. I don't know if it's a black culture. I don't know if it's just being a woman of any race, but we were always taught that we had to take the high road. Especially when it comes to men, we always had to be the yes man. We didn't have a voice. We didn't have our own 2 feet to stand on. But now I
Mhm.
think it's shifting a little bit. Why? Because women are having their own careers. They're being put in positions where they can make the ultimate decisions. they can say yes or no to certain things. And so learning that at a young age, regardless of what position you're in, whether you're a CEO or someone working a 9 to 5, you can say no. And if anyone has a problem with that, that's okay. That took me such a long time, even in some of my relationships. I'm working on that even in my marriage. I'm working on that even with some friends. If I am viewed as being a bad person because I am establishing boundaries, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. If you're having to say that, we know, because if you're not going to advocate for me, somebody has to do it. It's going to be me. If
Absolutely.
if I'm putting up a boundary and you have a problem with it, then I'm going to have to take on the job of telling you hell to the no. And
And you
that's
know,
okay.
my therapist told me I started this boundary journey in my previous relationship just so that you are prepared when you start establishing boundaries and when you start saying no, it's going to be a problem
It's going to be a
for the people
problem.
who abused it. So understand that you are going to be met with resistance.
So
But
was
just
that hard hearing that?
that
Hearing
was
that your people pat? Was
it
that
was
go against? Mm-hmm.
It was, and that actually triggered a lot of anxiety because I've
Mm.
spent my whole life not wanting to disappoint anybody. I don't want people to dislike me. Even in my relationship, even though I was being treated a certain way, I still didn't want to disappoint. That's where that shift needed to happen for me. And that's something I'm glad I started practicing years ago because I would be in a different place today had I not learned that it was okay to establish boundaries. And I'm okay
Yeah.
now with people liking me. Whereas 3 to 5 years ago, I would still be uncomfortable if someone said, "Oh, Mariah, you're mean." Now I genuinely do not care. And I'm okay with that if people don't like me because I've established boundaries. My therapist did say if you are establishing boundaries, whether it's with your partner, your friends, your colleagues, and you're met with resistance, know that you're doing the right thing. Keep going. Don't stop. It's going to take them some time to readjust and relearn this newer version of yourself, but just keep
Yeah.
going. Don't stop.
Mariah, we could talk about this forever. Don't we have a
Yeah.
small business shout out? But I really enjoy having the conversation just because I feel like sometimes there needs to be a space and just the conversation needs to be started. So do we have a small
Yeah.
business shout out this week, or what we got?
We don't have a small business shout out this week, but we would love for viewers to tag their favorite small businesses that they would love for
Yes.
us to shout out. And we will make sure that we shout them out moving forward.
Yeah,
That
and they can
work?
be, it could be beauty, it could be an app, it could be anything. And we're always on TikTok buying stuff, so we might as well buy something from, a
Yes.
small business. So
Yes. If you got someone in mind or a brand that you love,
hit us up.
DM us, like, share, comment, subscribe, and let us know. So Tamara, you just came up with a great idea. Let's have viewers and our followers submit questions to us. We'll
Hmm.
do a segment called Ask Ryan T.
Hmm.
You guys hit us up in the DMs, comment, email with whatever questions you want us to answer. They need to be appropriate, age appropriate, and then we'll read them on our segment. Thank you guys again today,
Yes.
and we will see you next week on Born to the Game Legacy Unfiltered. Make sure to like, follow, share, subscribe, all the things.
Until next time. Mwah.
Until next time.